all been fairly focused, and Bonnie Brooks talked about the culture wars and on dance specifically. And then we had a young administrator, Lydia Bell, who's kind of 5 years out of school, doing a number of projects. So you brought your book, let's go. Heard that book I was talking about that I held on to for 2 years, but was afraid to open any copies of and break the binder. Those are Robert's drawings. Oh, those are Robert's drawings. Of course they are. My goodness gracious. Anyway, so we've done this. We have several who have talked about their interest in becoming a chair. I won't point those, but there are several in the room. The thought was that you could talk to us in, in maybe like 48 hours or so on how you built this dance department and all that you
happy to do it. It was not a one-person effort, by the way, as you know. Speaking of time,
yes.
How much time do we have?
Well, you can have whatever time you like. What? I had planned on an hour and a half, but you don't have to take that much time.
Well,
If you want to do an hour,
Let's just see how it.
Okay.
Do you want to start with their questions? You want me just to jump in and then you ask questions?
Well, we do have some great questions. Would you give them a little context on what it meant to start the dance department and the time that you started the dance department?
I'll be happy to. I want to say, before I say that though, about there's so many different kinds of administration. And this is what Jennifer does, which is very complex and it's amazing and also innovative. And she started that here for us. And this is what Jawole does. She's director, artistic director, but that's an administrative position because administration this is an old-fashioned word, but it's leadership, you know. And you can talk about that forever, and it is very varied. But there are a lot of similarities to what we all do, and there are some significant differences. And what I was involved in was the administration, although I didn't even use that word then. I didn't, I was an administrator for at least a full decade before I knew I was an administrator. Was that involved with building an academic curriculum to making a dance place in academia, which is really the more accurate way. Because at the time that I started, there weren't dance departments. When I came up and went through college, I majored in something else because the only place just about, and this is certainly an index to my very advanced age, but the only place to major in dance would have been Bennington. You could have majored in physical education with dance emphasis at Wisconsin. But there were when I started doing this, I had been teaching for about 10 years in dance programs. I had taught here for a while, and then I had left Tallahassee never to return. I really thought that at the time, and then 5 years later, I had the chance to come back for 1 year to take someone's leave of absence. And that someone was Nellie Von Dickinson, who had been here and had really established a wonderful climate for dance. But she wasn't interested in building a dance professional program, a major program. And she would be the first, she would have been the first to say that. She went with me right before I left, never to return. We decided to go and get a dean's permission to start a dance major program, but she said, but I'm not going to do that. And her reason had nothing to do with a lack of devotion to the art. She simply thought that it was fine where it was in physical education because nobody was going to hire a dance major. And that's, there's some truth in that, But, so we got it on paper, and then I left. And when I came back just for 1 year only to take her place. She then retired. And I said, I'll do it for 1 year only. That was in '64, and I've been here ever since. But when I came back, the university seemed different. It seemed like a real university then. I had always loved it. I had been here before, but it had become more sophisticated. It was much larger. Dance was still a collection of courses in physical education. They totaled 16 credit hours. That's all the credit that was given, and there were about, I guess it was a collection of about 6 or 7 courses, most of which were general ed courses for people who just wanted to take dance. I think there was one composition course, and there was one rhythmic analysis course. But in the country, there were about, and my figures are going to be a little bit inaccurate probably in this, but I think there were about 6 or 7 major programs. Some of them were still housed in other, I mean all of them except one were still housed either in physical education or in theater, in music, and only one program had become an autonomous department, and that was Alma Hawkins' program at UCLA, which became the great icon for many of us. So I began to see that that was happening, and a group of us got together through some of Alma's conferences. The group was called CODA, which is now the Council of Dance Administrators, and I began to see that maybe we could build something like that here, which would be a truly professional program and a dance major program. And if someone had said the word mission to me, which I will use a lot of that, which I use a lot in this article, I don't think I thought of that word. I did know what I wanted to do, and I guess that's the same thing. And I would have used the word vision, maybe, that I have this vision or this idea that this is what I want to do. But what I wanted to do was simply to make a dancing place where we could make dances and produce dancers of a very professional level. And I had gotten a little weary of hearing people talk about college dance and then the real stuff. I mean, that may seem very foreign to you, but that was just a given then. There was the real thing, the art form, and then there was college dance. And let me say about the fact that almost all of the programs were at that time, and we're talking now latter 50s and early 60s. They'd always been in physical education. We owe a lot to physical education, and although one of my first tasks was to get out of physical education, we owe a lot because nobody else was interested in housing us. But the physical education view usually, primarily, was that it was a recreational activity, or that it was something to support and enlarge their physical education majors. And the other people who took it were people on campus who, because it was required that you take a certain amount of physical education courses, they would take it because they just wanted some dance. So there was a huge general education component, as there still is, as you know, because many of you teach them. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that was always part of the vision, that no matter how successful I thought we could be having a professional major program, we always wanted to keep that program that was an elective program so that anybody who wanted to have the dance experience would have it. And we've always kept that. And I think and people say, well, of course you kept it because it was your bread and butter, it brought in the tuition. That, frankly, did not cross my mind at that time, although it certainly does. It was that we wanted to build an audience. We wanted to develop a community that knew something about dance. This is one thing that Nellie Von Dickinson had done really extremely well. We had a huge artist series then, and she brought Martha Graham here. She brought a lot of excellence here, and that just had not happened down in this part of the world, you know. So we owe so much to her because she developed an appetite and a knowledge of this creature called modern dance. You know, at that time, think of what it would have been in the country throughout, but primarily in the South. Dance was ballet. You went to your ballet school. You know, I mean, the only dance I had before I went and studied with Bob Graham was ballet, and which was wonderful. But you know, it was the university time and the physical education openness that they wanted creative activity, and they thought modern dance was that. They would not have thought ballet was that at that time. So we owe a lot to ballet, to physical education. But they never thought of it as an art, really. And so when, for a lot of political reasons that I won't go into, although they're very juicy, there was this big sort of contest amongst the leaders of our academic community, and sort of an opening to get dance moved. And there were people that wanted dance. Physical education wanted to keep it. It was very popular. And there was a period of about a month or two when I've always said it felt like rush week. I would go to lunch with people at theater and people in music. And because I had been told to find a place that I thought I would be welcome. So we have been everywhere on campus. We're like much bar and broad. And we ended up in music, and it was the 5 years of greatest growth. And at that time, when I had come back, after going away, never to return, after I came back after 5 years, and I had been in Texas, and we came back into physical education, and there were 3 of us here. There was a musician, and there was a woman who taught social dance, and then I was the 3rd. And so with that, this is why, you see, you have to be a little crazy if you do this. And you don't have to do this now. I mean, there are departments that you can go into, but if you should find yourself in a place where you are the only one, it can be done. It will be the hardest thing you did, but it will be one of the most exciting things that you will ever have in your life, is to build from scratch. But that's not, that's probably not going to be your destiny, even if you do want to go into a department or into dance in the rows of academia. But there were 3 of us. And then one of them, the social dance teacher, decided she wanted to go somewhere else, so she did, and I had a chance to fill it. And I filled it with a ballet person. And all around the country, my good friends and colleagues said, "You've got to be crazy. We fight for modern dance, and if you get a ballet person on the faculty for all those general education courses, they'll all go to ballet. They won't take modern dance. It's just too weird." And I said, well, if they all go to ballet, it will be because it's being better taught than modern. And since I was teaching the modern, I didn't think that would be the case. Always modest. So. And it wasn't. People love ballet, they love modern, they frequently took both. And then, as I say, for all sorts of reasons, we were able to move into the School of Music. And that was so wonderful, because the battles that we were facing to fight, and when I had to fight, they had won. And so we piggybacked on them. And we had a wonderful dean, Wally Housewright, the Housewright still lived here, who, when I was going through Rush Week, who said, I said, do you want just some, a dance program that will choreograph your operas? And he said, no, it will be lovely if you do, but I want the best dance program in the Southeast. And he said, anytime the best in the country, And he put his money where his mouth was. He said, you can start with 2 more positions. And that was like, the golden egg. And he was such a wonderful mentor, and I don't use that word. I mean, it's a very fashionable word, but I don't use it very often. But he really mentored me in terms of dealing with administrative. I look back and I realize how very ignorant I was. I went to the vice president, and they sent me up there when they knew we were going to make the switch, and he said, now, Nancy, we will give you this capital outlay budget, and we will give you this OPS budget. I said, what is OPS? And he just sort of looked like I've made a very bad mistake. But I didn't know about that. And you had to learn those things. And so we started off with 4 members. And then there was a period of some time when we had 5 members. All of this, I'm not going to go into the detail of all that history, but it's to say that we were initiating a program. We weren't moving into one that was established. This is not to say because we walked 12 miles through the snow to get to school, you have to do that. There are programs that are small. There are programs that are like this one, and Ohio State, and others that are large. Each one has its own different staff. I assume if And then there are programs that are very small that you would be starting